4.8.
How do I get a fair shot here?
We also judge on presentation.
Margot's portrayal of Tonya just blew me away. The commitment and the focus that she brought to this, I was like dumbfounded by it.
As soon as I read it, I was just like, I think that's the best script I've ever read in my entire life. And the way Stephen wrote the character, it's so funny.
Who's that?
Jeff was my first date ever. And my mom came.
Allison plays like 5 different things at once. She's hilarious, she's tragic, she's wounded, and she's scary.
You call that a clean skate? Stop talking to her. That girl is your enemy.
Why did we think of Allison Janney for this part? Because Levon Harding is one of the cruelest people I've ever played. They weren't living in the high life by any stretch, and I think she saw her daughter as a way out of her life, and a way to, you know, she saw endorsement deals, and she saw escape, and she had a lot riding on this relationship with her daughter, and she had a lot invested in her daughter, and she wanted her daughter to take her out of the trailer park.
When I was a kid, did you ever love me?
I made you a champion, knowing you'd hate me for it. That's the sacrifice a mother makes.
You cursed me.
Both of them can do this very tricky dance of tone, from drama to humor, all in the one sentence.
What is going on?
We're with the FBI.
They know something. What can you tell us about Tonya Harding? I don't know a Tony Harding.
Aren't you her bodyguard?
Every character in this movie has a moment, intentionally or unintentionally, where they're very funny.
Tell them we're calling the whole thing off. Sweetie, the death threat's off.
Whatever.
Whoa, you cannot call this thing off. This baby has moving parts. Balls are already being played with.
Sebastian Stan playing Jeff Galilei, it's such a tricky role that he plays, and he does some brutal things in the film which very easily could alienate the audience. And he had a way of making this guy accessible.
You're so pretty. It's a great opportunity to lose yourself, you know? I mean, I think that's what we're always trying to do as actors.
But right now, we gotta get our story straight. And since they can't pin anything on us, we didn't know anything.
Yeah, but we didn't know anything.
You get into situations where they were so in touch with their characters that they could improvise just at a drop of a hat.
This is a crazy story, and people who remember think that they know, but there are so many details to this story that make it even more unbelievable than you would think.
We really got to cast the right people for the roles. It's a rare thing sometimes that you can just literally put the best person in. Somebody described this to me once. They said it's a unicorn. It's like, that doesn't happen very often in this business.
We need to see a wholesome American family.
I don't have a wholesome American family.
I was embarrassed for you.
My entire life, I'd been told I wouldn't amount to anything. And you know what? Maybe I would.
It's dramatic and it's hilarious, and one minute you might be crying and the next you're gonna be laughing.
Expect the unexpected. It's the story that everybody thinks they know, but don't.
The haters always say, Tonya, tell the truth.
Tonya, how do you feel about
There's no such thing as truth. Everyone has their own truth.
This was one of those projects that everyone kind of saw it the same way, and that is because the script was so good. The script had so much detail.
I was the best figure skater in the world at one point in time.
Everyone in America was aware of that incident. Everyone in the world. It was the first scandal around a sporting event. Someone paid someone to beat up a competitor. I mean, it was just salacious.
It was right when we started having CNN and 24-hour news, and they needed content, and this happened, and it just exploded.
The press wanted me to be the pile of crap.
In some ways, the movie is a cautionary tale of, you know, look where we are now, and this was the beginning of all of that.
It was right before OJ.
There was a lot of things that were manufactured to sell headlines.
Now you can go and find a news station depending on your point of view. It's not just the facts, you know, and that was really the beginning of all of that.
What is going on?
We're with the FBI.
They know something. What can you tell us about Tonya Harding? I don't know a Tony Harding.
Aren't you her bodyguard?
Taking an event that people think they know all about and then showing them everything that went on behind what they were told. Tonya says it one way and then Jeff immediately says it the other way.
When I interviewed Tonya and when I interviewed Jeff, their recollections were so wildly contradictory that that's what gave me the idea to put all the contradictory sides up there and let the audience decide.
I'm so sorry, but there's no smoking on the ice.
Oh, well, I'll smoke it quietly then.
It's basically a story told from everybody's point of view. A lot of different cast of characters involved in that incident, and everyone has their own opinion about what actually happened.
That dynamic between Jeff and Tonya was the spine of the film. And it's kind of this, very sort of twisted, complicated love story.
Jeff's relationship with Tonya, I would define it as crazy love at its best.
I never did this. My entire life, I'd been told I wouldn't amount to anything. And you know what? Maybe I would.
The thing that interested me about Tonya was that she was very unapologetic in terms of who she is and made no excuses. I mean, she calls herself a redneck in this sport where the judges want you to be this sort of old-timey version of what they think a woman should be, and she wouldn't play along.
She just didn't fit in with that world.
I just felt like there's so much more to the story, that things aren't just black or white, things are gray, and gray's a lot more interesting.
America, they want someone to love, but they want someone to hate. I mean, come on. What kind of friggin' person bashes in their friend's knee? Who would do that to a friend?
Craig is amazing.
Oh, I love Craig. I really do.
Craig Gillespie's so interesting.
He's a lovely, really lovely man.
We're so lucky to have Craig.
So I read the script, and it's amazing. Stephen Rogers' script it's this crazy dance between tragedy and comedy, and it was one of those rare moments that that you occasionally have where I read it and I could see it.
He's one of the very few directors that I think could pull off what we achieved on this film in the little time that we had.
Whenever you're trying to shoot a movie in 30 days, it's an unbelievable task on everyone involved.
This movie is very ambitious, and he is so up and positive and very specific about what he wants.
He has a great attitude about it. He's very focused and very calm the whole time. I mean, it's just so many things could happen and to throw your attention off. And it just seems like he really knows what he's after and what he wants.
He trusts his actors. He trusts that you've done your work. He doesn't assume that you haven't. You get on set and he has to talk you through everything. He's just like, okay, go, try it this way, now do two, whatever you want to do. And he knows what he wants, and I love working with a director who knows what he wants, but also bring me something I didn't know I wanted,
His humor's really dry. His vision is very specific and has great reasoning, and he's having fun. I feel like he's having fun.
He understands how to make things funny and have levity without directing toward the joke or making it broad and slapsticky.
We talked a lot in prep about wanting to empathize with Tonya's story and be in her world, and I think he's really brought that out in the script.
Craig just kind of handles characters so genuinely. It never feels like he's judging them or making fun of them, which I think is really important. He takes them as seriously as they take themselves.
He wants the audience, some people to be laughing and some people to just not even know how to react, and I think he's done such a great job of that.
You really want all your characters to feel justified, and Craig has so many clever ways of doing that, I think. And yeah, we knew he was the guy for the job.
I, Tonya was a great job for us here at 8VFX. We were able to work in the 8VFX New York office, led by our creative director, Jean-Marc Zemmer. He put a fantastic team together, and what we were able to do was build stadiums and do face replacements on Margot.
My role was to, just to take care about all the visual effects we needed to do for this movie, to make sure like everything was going good and going right with the budget we have, and all the effects we have to accomplish for this movie.
In all respects, this was like kind of a blissful film experience because we did do it independently. We had a lot of freedom, a lot of creative control. And I've had a long history with Jean-Marc, like with commercials, so we have a great shorthand. And that's why I really wanted to bring him in on this. I knew it was really demanding, it was gonna be a tough schedule, and he could do it.
For the face replacement, there was different idea. Like Craig wanted to have this camera really handheld, moving, be free to move and going from something really close to her to something really wide where she's doing all the different figure skating.
We had Margot, which was amazing. She was so diligent and she trained 5 days a week for 5 months. And her with her skating coach figured out like how much they could do. And I was amazed. And she'd go out and she'd do like 30, 40 seconds of it. And I was kind of astounded that she could pull it off.
We needed to combine different techniques. When she's getting really close, we were doing some traditional face replacement, which is like a more 2D approach where we quickly line up the shots and say, okay, let's shoot this head really quickly on a blue screen. Let's shoot Margot on a blue screen quickly and try to figure out the positioning of the head. And the other approach was to go into a full CG head replacement.
So what we did was we set up a small studio on location to scan Margot Robbie's face and give us the overall head model with textures and expressions. We then took that data into Maya and used the scan to build the final CG model with 4 different makeup looks.
So I knew if I have these 2 techniques, somewhere we will be able to make it work.
On the shoot, we set up 6 witness cameras synced to the timecode of the 35mm camera, which allowed us to have an accurate position of Margot Robbie in every shot in each stadium.
It really freed up the work, and then the great thing with 8FX is we're seeing the world. I mean, we're doing these shots that are, I think there's one shot that it's 3 shots stitched together, it ends up being like 2.5 minutes. That is non-stop and seeing everything.
As with sound or music, when effects actually start coming in and you start to really see the movie and not just what you hope the movie's going to be, and it just becomes alive. It's such a difference. A full stadium is very different than an empty stadium, and the actual actress's face on her body is very different than somebody else with a little orange ball on top.
So the challenge of pulling off all of this amount of work in 3 months really challenged us. Our expertise with pipeline and our long-standing relationship with Craig Gillespie meant that we were able to pull it off.
It went like clockwork. Got them the shots, came in and made very few notes, and once we established the look, they ran with it. It was actually one of my least stressful parts of the process.
It was a great experience, a really, really, really great experience to work with Craig, to work with Tonya, also the editor. We were really close. The communication between us was really good, and the way we approached this work was really good. So it was a real pleasure to work on this movie.
And the question is whether 3 moves into the program she will do a triple axel. First, a triple lutz. Nicely done.
And now we will find out whether she will be the first American to attempt and complete a triple axel jump. We will know that here, whether she tries it or not.
Everybody calls me little girl bad. Everybody blames me.
Oh my God, I mean, it was totally the most awesomest thing. Because leading up to it, you're like, I can't do it. I can't. And then, bam, I can. And all those people who said I couldn't make it, well, fuck you. I did. I proved everyone wrong.
Feels like the first time. Feels like the very first time. It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time. I have waited a lifetime. Spend my time so foolishly. But now that I found you, together we'll make history.
This one can't garden to save her life. You're gonna have to do all the gardening there, fella.
Mom.
What?
We're gonna need some of those chickens back, man.
What?
You're not our only customer who likes our chicken.
I don't like your fucking chickens. What the fuck are you talking about?
The rule's all you can eat, lady. Not all you can carry.
Hey, I'm gonna need that purse returned, a-hole. You two fuck yet?
Can I just make one comment about Nancy Kerrigan? I have it on good authority that on one of our tours in '93, Jeff and Nancy were overheard talking, planning the whole attack thing.
Are you kidding me? I barely knew the guy.
It was a person on the tour. Very reliable source. They did it to take me down. I mean, it's just hearsay. I can't prove it, but how bad was she hurt?
Why? Why?
I'm sorry, but how does anybody get up and train for 1 month and skate so beautifully if they're that hurt?
Guy with a big black stick.
I never hit her. That's not me. I'm actually a pretty meek guy. But, you know, look, it's like the more you say you're a child molester, the more you sound like a child molester. So I stopped saying anything. She hit me, though. And she packed the wallop, fired a gun at me, too.
This is bullshit. I never did this.
I told her to do the triple. I said she had nothing to lose, and then I lost her. Still love her, man.
Oh man, don't you hate when irony is directed right at you?
Yeah. I just wish she wasn't such a bitch.
You can totally do better than a bitch, man.
Thanks, man. I guess that, once she got famous, she found out there's a whole lot more to the world than just me.
You know what? Fuck Tonya. Fuck Tonya Harding, Jeff. What about... Okay, well, as luck would have it, what about her?
Think she likes you.
You know I have a girlfriend in Qatar. That's not fair. But she didn't seem like a bitch, man. She seems like one of those gals who's probably generous to a fault. Oh, back in the saddle again, Jeff. Jeff.
The fuck is going on?
Nothing.
Don't answer it. Jeff Gillespie speaking.
Jeff, Ann Schott, CBS Sports. I've got this letter, and I'd like to show it to you in exchange for an interview with Tonya.
What kind of letter, Ann?
Bizarre. It says Tonya Harding, number 1, Jeff Gillespie, number 2, Sean Eckhart, number 3, Nancy Kerrigan, number 4.
Okay.
And then number 1 and number 2, hire number 3 to hit number 4 in the knee with a bat.
Hold on.
Who is it?
Who sent you this letter, Ann?
It was mailed from someone who calls herself Jane, but Jeff, she says it was Sean Eckhart's dad who was bragging to her about this.
Well, that's fine. We'll be happy to come down for an interview and clear this all up.
Excellent. We'll see you.
Jeff Gillespie speaking.
You gotta pay me my money, and I gotta get out of town. They know something.
Wait, what are you,
Just meet me, or else I'm gonna be forced
Sean, calm down. Where do you want to meet?
The Golden Buddha, at our regular table. Just meet me at the stroke of midnight.
I'm not meeting you at the fucking stroke of midnight.
That's the plan, man. And bring the fucking money.
Great. Tell your mom I said hi.
$202, take 1.
That's Pete.
D Mark?
So who decided which leg?
Jeff did. Jeff, her landing leg.
So Jeff said, break her landing leg.
Yeah, the leg that she lands on.
Some people on the other side say that you were the mastermind, that this was all your idea, your way to get a business of some sort.
That's incorrect. Jeff Gillespie approached me.
Well, why didn't you say, are you crazy? Not on your life.
I don't know.
Tell me Jeff Gillespie's reaction when he heard about Nancy Kerrigan.
He seemed pretty happy. He was pretty pleased with himself, you know. He thought it was great that he could get done anything he wanted to. He started to develop, from the impression I got, a sort of megalomaniacal power trip. I think he felt he had this hit team at his disposal and he could do anything he wanted to.
Well, there's a feeling out there that the person who was power mad, who was megalomaniacal, was you. That you had these fantasies of espionage, and this was something you cooked up to fulfill these deranged fantasies.
Incorrect. I actually am a professional bodyguard and international counterterrorism expert. I work around the world for espionage agencies.
But, Jeff, you don't.
But I do.
But, Jeff, we checked, and you don't.
But I do.
But you don't.
But I do. I've actually been quoted as an expert in terrorism trends and profiles.
Where?
It was in... I believe it was in a travel magazine a couple years ago during the Gulf War.
Okay. What's she really like?
Who?
Tonya Harding. What about this fact that you said she didn't know anything? What did Tonya Harding know about the attack on Nancy Kerrigan?
She knew that it had been initiated. She knew that it was set to take place. She was actually really upset that it was taking so long.
Well, now you know that what they're saying on her side is that this was all you and there is no proof of that.
I had produced hard evidence.
You taped a meeting with,
Derek Smith had me tape a meeting between all of us so that at a later date he could use the cassette as leverage against Jeff.
What happened to the tape?
Well, this overwhelming wave of fear came over me. I panicked. It was indescribable, and I just destroyed the tape.
So it doesn't exist. How do you feel about your role in all this?
Disgusted. Disgusted. I feel as though I've betrayed everything that I worked to achieve. I was watching Nancy sitting there screaming, "Why me, why me?" And automatically the thought that came to my mind was so that Tonya could win the Olympics.
This is 202, take 3.
D-Mark.
Are we rolling, guys? Yep. Cool. And
Who decided which leg?
Jeff did. Jeff, her landing leg.
So Jeff said, break her landing leg.
Yeah, the leg that she lands on.
Some people on the other side are saying that you're the mastermind, that this is all your idea, your way to get a business of some kind.
That's incorrect, because Jeff Gillespie approached me.
Well, why didn't you say, what, are you crazy? Not on your life.
I don't know.
Tell me Jeff Gillespie's reaction when you told him about Nancy Kerrigan.
He seemed pretty happy. He was pretty pleased with himself, you know. He thought it was great that he could get anything done that he wanted to. He, over time, started to develop a sort of, from the impression that he gave me, a sort of megalomaniacal power trip. I think he felt he had this hit team at his disposal and that he could do anything he wanted to.
But there is the feeling out there that the one who is power mad and who's megalomaniacal is you. That you had fantasies of espionage and that this whole thing was cooked up so that you could fulfill some deranged fantasy.
Incorrect. I am a professional bodyguard and an international counterterrorism expert. I work around the world for espionage agencies.
But, Sean, you don't.
But I do.
But, Sean, we checked, and you don't.
But I do.
But you don't.
But I do. I've actually been quoted as an expert in terrorism trends and profiles.
Where?
I believe it was a travel magazine a couple of years ago during the Gulf War.
Okay. What's she really like?
Who?
Tonya Harding. What about the fact that you had initially said she didn't know anything? What did Tonya Harding really know about the attack on Nancy Kerrigan?
Well, she knew that it had been initiated. She knew that a plan had been, was set to take place. She was really upset that, she was very upset that it wasn't happening, that it had taken so long.
But you know what they're saying on her side, that this was all you, and there's no proof of any of this.
I had produced hard evidence.
You taped a meeting.
Derek Smith had me tape a meeting between us all that at a later date he could use the cassette as leverage against Jeff.
What happened to that tape?
Well, this overwhelming wave of fear came over me, and I panicked. It was indescribable. But then I just destroyed the tape. I burned it.
So it doesn't exist. How do you feel about your role in all of this?
My role in all this, I feel disgusted. I'm disgusted that I've betrayed all of the things I've worked to achieve. When I was watching Nancy sitting there screaming, "Why me? Why me?" Automatically the thought that came into my mind was so that Tonya could win the Olympics.
Okay, let's try that last question again. How do you feel? And just maybe something very quiet with disgusted. Like almost take it a while and then almost ashamed of it, then truly ashamed. Like something very meek with the disgusted.
Meaning what I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Do you mind if we take it like 2 lines back just to feel the vibe?
Yep.
Cool.
Right.
I'll start from Derek Smith.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Derek Smith had me tape a meeting between us all, so that at a later date he could use the cassette as leverage against Jeff.
So what happened to the tape?
Well, an overwhelming wave of fear came over me. I panicked. It was indescribable. And I just destroyed the tape.
So it doesn't exist. How do you feel about your role in all of this?
Disgusted. I feel I've betrayed everything that I've worked to achieve. And when I was sitting there watching Nancy sitting and screaming, "Why me? Why me?" Automatically the thought that came into my mind was so that Tonya could win the Olympics.
Great.